programming interface, because you just don't want to use one program. As for instance, our conference of Zoom, you want to be able to be within Zoom and at the same time broadcast that live. Why? Why would I want to do that, Lily? Why would I want to do it at the same time? What's the advantage of that? Rather than I could create an account in Zoom and in a separate browser turn on Zoom, and then basically when I finish this recording, I could upload to Zoom. What's the advantage of having it together?
Well, it's a live stream, so they're both happening at the same time. So if someone doesn't have the Zoom link, then they can access it through your
Yes,
YouTube channel.
right.
And
Then you
it's
could,
and it's
and
also like it's easier to navigate as well if it's just through the Zoom,
yeah,
not having to
and
open it
it's
up.
easier to navigate. Also, you can think about it for a business. You could think about monetizing it. Basically
Yeah.
have, it may be in a certain way, people in the Zoom sessions, you could say, oh, you're in the Zoom sessions, you're my students. We could think of like a learning environment. You're going to be tuition, so you're going to get more personalized attention. We can speak, we can see your faces. You can be asking questions. You may have special recordings. But on the YouTube, does it cost us anything more? As a
Um,
business? No, it's not going to cost us anymore. So might as well put it out to the public and the public can see it. Then if we were really popular, we could say, oh, if you want to ask questions and chat, we could even have someone on YouTube moderating that section.
yeah.
So you could even basically say, and it may be just in a way that everything doesn't be monetized, but you already start having your brand, you already have your following. Just like in other social media, you already have your following, you can do other things with it. So you can basically think about it that way. Okay, so I'm recording here. I could also record in Loom. Let's see if my Loom works. And I can do without a camera in Loom, and I could start recording in Loom. And it gives me like a way to prepare. So it's another way that I could do it. And it's recording from Loom. Okay, any questions? So let me go over we'll do some housekeeping today. We'll talk about an exam that we have coming up, which is next Monday in person. So I hope everybody gets well and we don't have sniffles in the lab, that we get infected as well, and that you won't be sick for spring break. We want you healthy at least for spring break. So we'll go through that, and I'll also go through some of your okay. All right. So let me share my screen. Any questions, any comments? So Sophia, Jasper, you'll look at the moderation and let us know if there's something needs to be done. Teamwork is always encouraged here. On the exam, Jasper and Sophia, it's individual work, right? But you can definitely study together and share. So I have my screen here. Everybody sees my screen. And then you all see what? You see then the conference. And notice here, Lily, I'm just going to even point out to here, see, when you have an enterprise version of Zoom, and only put a note there, Lily, that you only can do the streaming, not on the free version, but on the enterprise version. You see here, we have it already, a little branding here in the corner. Do you see that? Of Zoom, so you could have it then of Wells Fargo or any banking, or even then later on it could be, Lily Wash, investment firm or something, as we go. Okay, so we have that where you can have a number of people moderating that. So we know that's working fine. Let's go to, we have our Zoom meeting. Let's go to our what's due section. Hopefully we got what's due. In my what's due section, You see, everybody see that? The first thing right here is exam 1, March 3rd. So that is a week from today. We're in person. This is the School of Business in the second floor where the elevator banks are in room 204. And we have a review guide that's under PPT documents, exam 1 review. So let's see that. So if I go to my PPT and documents, let me go to my edit mode is off so I see the same thing that you do. And here's my PowerPoint and here's my exam review. Exam, it says, will take place School of Business March 3rd. It will cover basically chapters we know, chapter 1, TG1, TG2, chapter 5 and 4. It'll include also the audit assignments, class lectures. I suggest you arrive 10 minutes early. So as soon as everybody's in there, we can start the exam. We'll take the entire period. Those of you that have gotten more time, when you come in, let me know. And then you will get the time allotted to you. Most people finish on time. So even those that need extra time, most people finish on time. A lot of people can, once you finish both parts of the exam, you check out and you can leave early. You need to bring with you a pictured ID, cane card, or government ID. What are we doing then? If we think about it, Sophia and Jasper, what are we thinking about? Security, right? That we even need our physical security. We need to do authentication, authorization. We have to see who you are. Just like in digitally, we need to see that when you come into a class with someone's, that your pictured ID matches who you put into the exam. You also need to bring your laptop computers. We will be using the school's computers, but guess what? Why are we bringing laptops in this case? Sophia, why do you think you need to bring a laptop if we're going to be taking the exam on the school's computers?
Maybe if there's any login info on your laptop that you would need.
Right, and what else? What else could possibly go wrong? Could there anything possibly go wrong when we deal with computers and Wi-Fi and everything else?
The computers might not work, so you might need.
We have how many students here, right? That there may be 1 or 2 that are not working, and most likely we can use another one. So what do we need is always to have, remember, we talked about it, security, backup, and recovery. Remember, we talked about business continuity plan, how to continue doing business if we have issues with our computers. And guess what? This is our continuity plan. So even if I asked you on a business continuity plan, what could be possible backups that we're using is that everybody bring their laptop computer and they need then Respondus to be available to them. So they need Respondus, then that software, you need to download it on your laptop to make sure that you have the latest version. We also, guess what? You can use, again, Notebook LM if you want. You can basically practice anything you need for the terms. So basically, if you look at that guide then, of that exam guide, this is what the exam will look at. This is saying the same thing. There's going to be 2 parts to the exam. One part will be multiple choice, around 60 questions, and the other part will be open-ended. There'll be 2 separate tests. You need to bring your phone. All of you bring your phone anyways, but you need, just like you said, Sophia, is that you need to basically sign in with Duo. You need to know your ID, and you need to know your passwords, and you'll be doing one part which will be like the quizzes. Sophia, there'll be like the quizzes, multiple choice questions, and the other part will be open-ended questions. There'll be two separate, so you decide which one you want to do first. I used to do multiple choice and then open-ended, but people have different learning styles. For instance, Thomas, if you feel more comfortable, hey, I studied for the open-ended, I want to get that out of the way first and make sure that everything in my mind has been out of it, you can choose open-ended first. But Thomas, you cannot go back to it. Once you finish that, you're completed with this, then you go on to the multiple choice. You can't go back and forth and say, oh, I see something in the multiple choice that reminded me of something to add in the open-ended. So you just have to do this. These are the multiple choice and true false concepts that we can think about from all the chapters, from hardware to CPU input, primary. You can see that operating system, nothing this is new, open source versus proprietary, data versus information versus knowledge, infrastructure, trends, security, exposures, threats, social engineering. We talk about secure socket layers, software encryption, denial of service. Remember the distributed, all the viruses, the adware, VPN, cache, data governance, goals of data controls, the data hierarchy, keys, primary versus secondary. We need to know about, we talked about it before, of all of our access controls, what we mean by least privilege, big data, data warehouse versus data marts. And here are sample questions. I've listed 7 sample open-ended questions. You need to answer it in detail. If you answer it in, 1 or 2 sentences, you will not get full credit. One is about list and describe 3 user-led practices that can improve digital security. Explain how each practice helps secure digital information. Compare. Number 2 is our assignment. Compare and contrast local recording versus cloud recording. Discuss the benefits of YouTube live streaming and Zoom's remote control features. In what situations would you choose one option over the other? How can these tools support business promotion? And here is another Zoom question on using Zoom, a cloud-based recorder, screen recorder, right? Use examples, tell us how you choose between these tools. Here's on database, define a field record table in a database management system. In designing a university student database, which data fields are essential, which field should function as the primary key, explain why the primary key is important. Here is defining data governance, explain how it could be implemented in a university setting, differentiate between authentication and authorization, which one of these processes is always performed first, illustrate its importance, provide specific examples of how least privilege authentication and authorization were applied in class, compare and contrast risk management, risk analysis, give examples in a university setting. And 7, explain how Notebook LM was useful when studying for this exam, recommend any fine-tuning for its features, explore potential benefits for business outside educational usage. Questions? Sophia and Jasper, you questions or anyone else that's in the chat?
No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, and what about you?
I don't
Got the idea?
Yeah.
So on the open-ended, what I like in the open-ended, if I say I'm giving you Sophia and Jasper open-ended questions, this way I say, hey, I'll choose 2 to 3 of these. So you can practice rather than I can ask you a whole world. You got it? Next. The next part I just wanted to let you know here is on, let me just see here, go to the audit area. Everybody go to the audit area. And under the assignments, let's go even back here. If I go, what is due? I know that today, before class, the auto assignment is due. The dynamic voice AI individual assignment was due. The one thing that I will allow you to do is, let me take group 8. When I look at group 8, do you see this? Under dynamic voice AI assignment, every group should have this. If you don't have this in your group, you will get penalized. So you need to state underneath your folder for dynamic voice assignment, each person in your group and what chapter they did. And many, just like you did for the screen recording assignment, where you did OPS, ScreenPal, Loom, and QuickTime, do it the same for the chapters. So I'm allowing you now to go in and add that to your folder. I went to each group and there were many groups that didn't do that. Did you get that, Allie? What group are you in?
I think I'm group 9 or 8.
Okay, do you have it in group 9?
No, we don't. We have to put it in.
Okay, so put it in now. Otherwise, you'll get points taken off. And it's silly to get points taken off for something like that, right, Alan? Okay, and then under dynamic voice assignment, this is what it should look like, right? Your Zoom cloud recording link, your Zoom AI companion, only the quick recap. And why, Lily, do you have 2 quick recaps?
Because I had to do multiple recordings, so I decided to add both my recaps.
Yes. Perfect, right? And then reflections and improvements, notebook multiple choice questions that you've put in well here. And one of the things that I suggest you do is look at your multiple choice questions, because we'll pick they can be a few of those being into the exam as well. So these are ways in which to do this, a way to, which of the following is a risk mitigation strategy. We got the idea of, hey, I got to know what risk mitigation means, that I have to reduce it, right? Which of the following are physical controls, because I need to have a physical control, right? Versus an access control, right? Which of the following in the control? Communication controls to protect information systems. What's the purpose? You got there, business continuity planning. Just like we're doing business continuity planning in case our business, my business is to give you exams, right, Lily? Right? And in case those computers go down, do I have control over them? No, right? We're even doing backup and recovery. What I'll ask, just as you can see, is what are the roles for my teaching assistants and training? And my teaching assistants is beforehand to go to the lab to make sure Respondus is working on all of those 40-some computers, that later on, if some of them don't go into Respondus or not working, then what do we need to do is we have to go to the IT people in the School of Business and report it. Because they say to me, it works, Dr. Rush. And what do I say? Everybody can tell me anything, right? In this business, I need to, it's not that I don't believe people, but what do we have to do? We have to verify. And maybe it worked last semester. Maybe even worked last month. But that's it. It may not even work on Monday, but at least I know the week before we checked it out, right, of business continuity, and we're planning for that. So this is a great idea when you think, what is the purpose of business continuity planning? Is that how does a business going to continue running if they have issues with their information technology, if they have problems with hardware, if they have problems with software, if there's a natural disaster happening, right? Can hurricanes happen? Of course they can. Can earthquakes happen? Can fire happen? Whatever it is that I'm not in business, I need to plan that. I need to make plans to continue with this. So to prevent unauthorized access, what's the purpose? To prevent, to outline disaster, to monitor, to encrypt data. So they're going here, which is following is not a basic guideline for creating long passwords. And then you give the answers here. I like it in this case that you don't give the answers first, then you can practice. If you see the answer, then you don't learn as much. And then we have it. And then the same thing for Soren. Excellent. And the same thing in this case, we have for Juan and Pavi. Starts to look good. Okay. Questions? So everyone should have that as a part. So I have this of ending March 3rd in person in SBA 204, the exam review guide. And then what I suggest you do for studying is in your reading adaptive. One of the things is you can just even go to Wiley Plus courses. That's one. And I have my computer resources here. I could go, for instance, to data knowledge and management, and you can go to the different sections. For instance, there's managing data, the database approach. We talked about that, of minimizing and maximizing issues, my big data, my data warehouse and data mart. So let me just go to data warehouse and data mart. You also have your PowerPoints, you know, your PowerPoints, and think about explaining the elements necessary to successfully implement and maintain data warehouse. So if this is the case, I'm doing Isabel, you there?
Yes, I am.
Good. So describing a data warehouse, there's something called a data warehouse and a data mart. Isabel. And the question, what you're going to need to know is, what is it? How is it used in business? And what's the difference between a data warehouse and a data mart? Or is there a difference? So the first thing we think about in data warehouse and data marts, they all deal with data. So the question is the data in this case historical, present day, or future data? Did you hear me, Isabel?
Yes, I did.
What did you repeat what I asked? Is a data warehouse and a data mart, is it talking about historical data, present data, or predicted data?
Is it historical?
It's historical. So when they think about it, what we're going to use is, we always use a data warehouse and a data mart in order to analyze the data of a company to give us insights for the future based on the past. So this is key. A data warehouse is a repository of historical data that's organized by subject to support decision makers within the organization. So if I think about this, I could use a data warehouse at a university for what type of data? Allie, at a university, what type of data would be good to put into a data warehouse? Data from whom?
The students.
Students is one. Another one could be faculty, right? Another one could be administrators. But under data warehouse, let's think about that you all know, and I'm close to my heart too, is students, right? And so we would take not the present day, but historical data in our data warehouse, and what type of fields could we possibly store there? Besides, sometimes in a data warehouse, it wouldn't necessarily mean that I would have to store your name, but rather I would like to see what kind of, I could see maybe by major, right, Allie? I could see, where are you from, Allie?
I'm from
Which-
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. So it may be of an interest that when we think about a data warehouse, is we may also want to say by state or even by city where you're from originally. And why would that be important for the university? Allie? To know where you were from. Besides, in a cocktail party, I would say Allie's from Philadelphia and she was probably happy about a football team or something, right? Besides that. Why?
I guess they use it for like when they put out the like admission stuff and they like can
What is
track like
mission
where all their
stuff? Let's talk more articulately, right? When they recruit, right? If I'm trying to recruit, I want, number one, students that probably, I don't want to just basically send out marketing materials, maybe to people in Alaska saying, they're never going to come here. Most likely. Maybe we'll have one student from Alaska, maybe from Hawaii. But it seems that Northeast, maybe of Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York, Connecticut, it may be that we can recruit there. It may be we could also kind of even do something where we can find out who was successful, who really is satisfied, what type of students really love this university. What were the characteristics of this that were really good? And then it may be even just the opposite. Who really, when they came there, it wasn't a good fit. It's almost like a matchmaking kind of things, that we're doing AI now and matchmaking. These are the characteristics, Allie, that maybe you're interested in, right? This is a good fit. It's not even a value system. It's just, hey, these are folks that really like it, and it may be those people in Alaska wouldn't even like it because it's just too hot and humid. Besides, it's going to be taking their parents. How long is it going to take to go from Alaska to Miami? So this is a data warehouse of what you're going to have. And in that data, then you have something called a data mart. And basically what a data mart is a scaled down version of a data warehouse. So maybe a data mart would be the School of Business. What major are you in, Allie?
I'm business management.
Business management. So maybe even just the Department of Business Management. What do you want to do in business management? You have a clue why you chose that?
Not yet. Either something to do with marketing or sales.
Okay, marketing or sales. So let's even say those type of students that are really interested in marketing, what type of courses should we be offering them? We could do then data mart just on the marketing department and what types of courses they really said, and we could even interview past students. Let's say after 5 years, what were the most important courses you had? Or it maybe we can do it and say, what was missing in your curriculum? And they said, you know what, I really would have liked to have more digital marketing, because that's really where it's at. So that is a data mart versus a data warehouse. So it's organized by subject. We can use it as online, basically in transactions, or basically analytical, that we can ask questions to it. It needs to be basically integrated. Basically here it's talking about customer, but for us at the university, students are our customers, right? We can think about it. We're nonprofit, but really they're our customer. And in this case, it depends on how much time do we want to go back. Do I want to have students that were here 20 years ago? Or do I want to have just students that graduated? Or do I want to have students that are just freshmen? So this is my time and non-volatile. So now we need to figure out, what does non-volatile mean? You're on a roll, Allie. What does non-volatile mean? You have any idea?
It's when you can't change it, right?
Exactly. I cannot change it. Because what I want is, I want that data to be in that data mart, the past data, historical data, and that you can't change. Versus if you were doing an inventory, right? It could change, right? My inventory, if let's say we are selling cars or we're selling t-shirts, right? That is changing all the time. It's present, right? We started off with 10,000 shirts and now we have 1,000 shirts. So in this case, the data warehouse is non-volatile. When we talked about ROM and RAM in storage, we also talked about RAM, random access memory, being volatile, that it can change. ROM is that it's static, it cannot change. So this is non-volatile. It's multidimensional, meaning that I can look at a number of different fields, and then they can be stored in, even when we think about it like a data cube, that I can look at it by time, I can look at it by region. Let's say I want to say which students were that really seemed to not only accept us in recruiting, but Lily, I may have another data mart saying which students got recruited by the best companies on Wall Street. What was the characteristics of those students? Were they my finance students? Were they the ones that joined different clubs? Were there ones that had higher than GPAs? And then maybe what I want to do, Lily, is find out, hey, they got recruited, but which ones really succeeded? So I could even take those graduates 5 years later, and let's see from them which ones got promoted, which ones say, hey, this was not for me, this wasn't a good fit. So this is in the data warehouse that you need to do. And then you can see here, you can even have more. In this case, what is the primary purpose of the data warehouse? You can go through, and then you can see something like this. If I look further onto this, Soren, are you here with me?
Yes.
Good. So in this figure here, you can think about it. This is my source. This looks a little bit, Soren, like what? Where did you see source before? Remember, did you do Notebook LM? I saw that you did Notebook LM. Remember, what was the source in Notebook LM?
The
What was
do
your
you
source
mean?
when you had to do what chapter did you have?
Oh, I did software.
So what was your source?
It was the PowerPoint.
Right, that's the source. So in this case, they're saying in a data warehousing, the data warehouse framework, think about sources, what you input. You did PowerPoint. In this case, they're saying, hey, you have external web, because this is for the entire one. This could be, for instance, my enterprise resource planning, my data about admissions for my students, right? Some of their web documents. You know what I may want to include too? Some of the social media of my students. And then once we get the source, what we want to do is what they call data integration. Behind the screens, they want to clean up the data. And you see anything that looks like this is a database, and this says enterprise data warehouse. So Soren, what does enterprise mean? What does the word enterprise mean? When you see enterprise data warehouse, what is an enterprise we're a member of? Soren, what do yourself and me have in common? We both are what? We're both at the university, right? The same university.
Yes.
We have different roles, right?
Mhm.
But we're both there. So what is an enterprise?
A centralized database.
But what does the word enterprise mean? Ariel, what does the word enterprise mean? And Soren, if you don't know, what should you do?
Search it up.
Yeah, so let's do it. So Ariel, I'm looking for the word enterprise. What does enterprise mean? And it's important for us to know.
It's like a business or company.
Yeah, it's an organization. Think about it as a big company. A lot of times, the small little food truck usually isn't an enterprise. Right, Ariel? But if we think about it, is our university a large organization? And think about it. Zoom, you did the Zoom exercises, right, Ariel? Ariel, are you there?
Yes, I did do them.
Right. We cannot use YouTube live streaming on a individual free account in Zoom. But in the enterprise version, how do we get access to the enterprise version of Zoom? Did we have access to the university enterprise version? Are we now on the enterprise version? We're using Zoom. You logged into Zoom, right?
Yes.
I started recording to Zoom. When we did, for instance, right, my YouTube live, right? My YouTube live, right? When we did YouTube live, that was being able to stream from Zoom using the enterprise version. What does it mean? The university, basically, Zoom sells to the university enterprise version. And they say, guess what? It's not for one user. How many users do you think they can do? Thousands, right? Because they just have 10,000 students, let's say. They have 2,000 faculty. Let's say they have all the people in the medical school, right? So maybe they get a 20,000 user part. Do you think they pay for that? Ariel?
Yes, I do think they paid.
Yeah. You think they pay $100 or more?
I think they pay more.
Yeah, they probably pay per user. So they may say, hey, per user, you'll pay $30. I'm just making up a number, or $50, but it comes out to hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to use Zoom. And then you see here, enterprise, we put all the students, let's say we had an enterprise data warehouse of all my students. And then, just like Ali said, we'll maybe do a data mart just for management students, and a data mart just for marketing students, and a data mart just for finance students. You got that? And we'll see, basically, we may ask a hypothesis, different questions for marketing students versus management students versus finance students. And then they report it, and then they get some interest there. So basically, decision makers for let's say for the university could then say, how can we recruit better and make the match better based on historical data? Is that clear? So this is what they talk about when they talk about data marts and data warehousing. So a data mart is a subset of a data warehouse, all historical. So this historical data just will be updated whenever I want, but it won't be in real time. Every time, right, that you get another grade in a class, this won't be updated. It won't be like you can see right now, updated what GPA you have frequently. It's just updated as they go along, and it's historical. And you can drill down for it. So this is what I was saying before that you can view here in this generic videos here, in which you can see the videos as well, but this is where you can see it. And if I go to chapter 4, in chapter 4, then we talked about unintentional threats. You need to know the difference between what's an unintentional threat versus a deliberate threat. Unintentional means that somebody clicked on a link unintentionally, or somebody basically through social engineering gave their password to someone that shouldn't have it. Or in this case, we can think about it is that I always have that introduction to information security. Let me go to that. In that introduction to information security, what do I want to do is I can think about it is my information is vulnerable. And what I want to be able to do is secure my information that I don't have unauthorized access, being people only have access to the data that I give authorization to. They're not going to disrupt. They're not going to modify or destruct. So these are ways in which I think about it, that you need to know what is a threat, that it's any type of information resource that's in danger to which the system may be exposed. And basically exposure then is any information resource that's going to cause harm, loss, or damage if there's a threat. Like I talked about before, I'm not concerned about my PowerPoints, that somebody's going to damage my PowerPoints, that I'm going to lose my PowerPoints, they're going to harm my PowerPoints. But I am concerned if they basically are going to take your social security number, your student ID, or your credit information, or your GPA, and they make changes to it. So what I need to think about always is that it's going to be, once I'm especially on a network, I am going to be vulnerable. So those breaches that happen to the biggest companies, they spend millions of dollars getting the biggest companies, is how do I protect it? And I have to always do a balance. How much is my data is worth? What are the consequences, and how much I'm going to spend to try to protect it? So these are areas where you look at to see that the differences between it, and this is going to be key. That what I would focus in on security are, how do I control? I know I'm always going to be vulnerable. I need to create then controls, countermeasures to protect my assets. Just like you do all the time with your house. I lock the doors, right? Don't they say in the dorms, I live in the dorms, just don't leave your doors open. Look around you, right? There has to be ways, not everybody can get into the dorms, right? And then basically it's going to be unintentional. We talked about, you need to know then that their physical controls, their access controls, that I'm able, and communication controls. And especially digitally, access controls are going to be key, that we talk about. How do I authenticate somebody? How do I authorize? So authentication is what? It confirms the identity of the person requiring access. So an authentication is what? You have to bring your pictured ID, so it confirms you are the person that's requiring access. And then authorization, look at this, which going to be my actions, my right, or privileges the person has. And what's the different authorization here? In the audit area, you have different privileges than you do for your regular section. So you need to know the differences there. And now sometimes in those banking, Lily, now they're going to be doing what? Something the user does to authenticate. Now they're doing it in banking. You can think about what, Lily? They're doing voice recognition, signature. Because what? Are they vulnerable? Of course, those banks are vulnerable. They're really going to be in need of security, right? So one of the things, Lily, you can look at is what types digitally, what are they doing that's new in terms of security to keep the assets of their customers secured. They know what is better, to break into a bank and get money or to break in for my PowerPoints. I can tell you my PowerPoints aren't worth much. But in this case, and then you have to make sure that people will go along with it. They trust it. In voice recognition. Now, what's the problem with voice recognition? Michael, what's the problem? Before they say, hey, we'll record your voice, Michael. And then when you call into Wells Fargo or to Citibank or Bank of America, we'll recognize your voice. What's the problem with that in today's environment?
I'm not completely sure.
Okay, think about it. I record your voice,
Right.
right? And next time you dial in, I know that that's your voice.
Well, there's probably a lot of similarities in people's voices, so it might not be.
There's similarities in people's voices. What else is an issue? Who can tell me? Raise your hand and tell me, what is the problem of using voice recognition in a banking situation? What do you think, Thomas?
I'm not sure.
Okay, what do you think, Christian?
Can't you do like AI deepfakes with people's voices?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of that, Thomas? It's
A little bit.
basically, you can do, basically AI can clone your voice. So instead, isn't that's scary, right? But it can be done, right? One of the things that we'll do when we, Lily, when we do that VAPI, right, is we can even clone their voice, that a bot can sound like us. So all I need to do is program, right? If I were a programmer, Kristen, what could I do? As I could then clone your voice or clone, and guess what? We wouldn't even have to meet you, right? Is your voice available online? My voice is everywhere, right? How many times, right? It'd be so easy, right? Just look up my name and look up more, see her in someplace, she's presenting something, right? And then basically you could then clone it and then basically pretend to be me. So one of the things that we want to be able to see is how can we back that up? And then how can we verify? You see that, Lily? So those are kind of interesting things to see on, you can say, are you using voice recognition? And you can even bring that up as what happens with the cloning. I get the voice cloning, and how can you really tell that it's me? And now in terms of imaging, get my image and then put my image there. Is this really me, right? That's what I'm thinking about all the time, right? I have my bot, my avatar bot. They'll be teaching, right? I'm looking forward to it. Other people are not, but let the avatar teach for me. At least teach together. I could save my voice. Okay. Questions? So on Wednesday, we'll do more reviews. I'll present another look at another project that we'll be looking at as well. And I'll stay with other people. Daniel, how are you? Welcome. You enjoying
Doing
with
well, how are you?
Sebastian here? You came early.
We got out a little early.
You got out a little early. He rushed. Do you see that? Our lead TA with let me also create you as a host. So I'll make you a co-host as well. well with Sebastian. So Daniel, would you like, Daniel, and I'll leave it to Sebastian too, anything else that they need to know about the exams? We'll spend some time on a new assignment on Wednesday a bit. I'll just kind of go over it with you a little bit, and then we'll spend on review. Any other questions? I just made sure, Daniel, that each of the students in their folder, underneath their folder, put their name and which chapter they used. I used group
Yeah.
8 as an example. I told them that they would get a point off if that wasn't done ahead of time, so this way we can see it as well. Okay, so anything, Sebastian, anything you would like to let the students know?
No, just best way to prepare for the exam, I'd say, is just do the quizzes. I mean, yeah, do the quizzes that we did, try to do some of the adaptive assignments, and do the quiz that's already posted, and you should be fine for the exam.
Need to know the material, right, on the quizzes and the open end. Anything else, Daniel?
Well, the study guide is live, obviously, so use that.
Yeah, the study, I would go through it first of all with the study guide, and then I would go through the PowerPoints.
Yeah, you're encouraged to use AI to define all the terms
Yeah,
and help
right.
you study and everything.
Right. And just so you know, right, Sophia and Jasper, it is, everybody will be doing their own work. This isn't a group, even though you guys work well together in the class. This is on your own, and it also is closed book, closed notes, closed Gen AI. So this will be the human element coming up to see what you've created. So we can still have you doing something. Otherwise, you can have your avatar come to class, right? And it will learn for you. Anything else? Thomas, anything else I need to review? Was that pretty clear? And so what I suggest you do is we'll do this. I suggest you look at that study guide, and things that are not clear, bring those up in class. And I'll go over it. Otherwise, I'll spend some time reviewing and also going over what we'll do for our next assignment. Anything else? So I need to do attendance. Sebastian or Daniel, if you want to do attendance.
I can do it. I'm just loading it up.
Okay, so you can do attendance. Let us know what needs to be done. If you have issues that you need to cover with me, stay with me after class and we'll cover those issues. And then I look forward to spending some time with you on Wednesday, and then we'll go over the next assignment that we have. Stay with me if you have issues about past assignments or anything else. Did you get it? 9177, Daniel, put in
Yes.
for our attendance. Once you get that, you're welcome to leave the class and stay with me if you have extra. And Lily, let us know how that works out. If you have anything, feel free to reach out to us. Sounds like exciting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully it won't be too cold there.
I hope so too. I might have to buy a coat to
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale, yeah. Take scarf, take when you think about it, our coldest day, if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Have a safe flight.
Thank
Let us
you.
know.
Well,
Okay. Oh, Daniel and Sebastian, can you be so kind and send out to Thomas and Andrea and our other TAs about helping you check out the lab
Oh, yes. I will.
computers? Let's do that within the next couple of days so we can give them some time. Right? We forget. Right, Sebastian, that it's going to take them time, you know, of what doesn't have respondus on it. Okay.